Fellas, today is a very special day because, well, I'm 19 now, and what better way to spend your 19th birthday than just review your own account? But anyways, this also marks the day where it's around the time now that I actually started streaming on YouTube, but so it's been like around a year for now, and thank you everyone so much for 1,200 subs, and we can only get further from this, so without further ado, I thought, why not? Just look at my own account and roast it, why not? Since, I'd like to say I give myself, or you guys, a lot of fair advice. Yeah, let's take a look, starting with my characters. So, if you haven't been around on the channel, you would know that Xiao, maybe Eula, Ayato, and Yoimiya are like maybe my most used characters. So let's look at my most well-invested characters right now. So starting with my main boy. I'd like to say that where he is right now is I don't really want to change much about him other than like maybe more crit damage. Because everywhere else, I got pretty much like what I want from him. I don't want to go for more constellations because, let's be honest, they're all not that good. Actually, no, the one thing I would like to change is that I would like Jade Spear because it looks good on him. I think it is a lot more comparable in like terms of damage because it gives a ridiculous amount of attack. And I would like to use Staff of Homa on Zhongli sometime soon. So honestly, nothing much I really would like to change about him because it would cost like many months of resin or potentially weeks, days, I don't know. That new domain, I committed like thousands of resin just to get this usable set, which is slightly an upgrade from my old set, but yeah, I don't really plan on changing much. Sucrose, I mainly use her for like buffing my Xiao. Well, she's really the only other character other than Jean that can do so, and she has Sibling Tails. I also use her as an EM buffer sometimes, as you should. I still use her on Viridescent, even though she is a Xiao buffer. C6, and she's slightly invested. I could get her to Ascension 90, but I'm not really too worried about her swirl damage all too much. Now, my first ever limited 5-star Zhongli. When I first got him, I actually didn't think he would be all too good. The main reason why I went for him is because his meteor is like the highest scaling thing in the entire game. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong. I actually mainly went for this because I like using him as a burst DPS. Here is his build if you're wondering. I sometimes occasionally run him on Favonius Lance, Deathmatch, and rotate between Homa as well, depending on like how I feel. And like I said, I like using him as a burst support and sub DPS and shield hybrid, whatever. I'm at C0. Bennett, the most broken character, one of the most broken characters in this game. I only managed to get him Constellation 1, and the last Constellation I've got to him was C1 back at Kazuha's first banner. I've yet to crown his burst as well. Of course, running him on 4-piece Noblesse. I run him on Favonius Sword instead of Mist Splitter because I like having the energy recharge, and having him give energy to the team I feel like is a lot more valuable than actually having like a very high base attack, because a lot of the times I don't think you really need the high base attack. So I just think that having Favonius is just good enough. And oh yeah, I always recommend building your Bennett as like a sub DPS, because since his healing is already really good, I'd say it's much better to have him do damage since he's gonna be on field a fair bit. Alright, and one of my favorite characters in the entire game, close to Xiao and Yoimiya. But yeah, she is also triple crowned. I triple crowned her before Xiao because I had her before Xiao, surprisingly. Her stats, even though they look worse than Xiao, I'd say they are better because the only reason why Xiao is higher is because he has a 5-star weapon. Well, Eula does have extra crit damage, and plus, if I ever got a crit weapon on her, which, or not even I don't think there are really many crit weapons that is best in slot. But if I'm able to get Gravestone or Broken Pine, then for sure I think Eula could potentially be better than my Xiao. She is lacking in attack, but I could easily fix that with Archaic. But I like Snow Tune better because it looks good on her. I'm of course running her on Pale Flame. And now, I decided to go for 4-piece Pale Flame even though I don't have C2, because I'd maximize her burst damage. In order to maximize her burst damage, you need to run Pale Flame. And it's really not, I don't think it's too big of an issue, like having the downtime on the set bonus. Yeah, you can get around with using 4-piece Pale Flame, you don't need C2. Oh yeah, and surprisingly, I've still yet to get like very good goblets on this account too. Because if you take a look at them, a lot of them are just Copium, other than like my Zhongli goblet. Yeah, that's really about it for my Eula. I still love using her, not as much as my Xiao. Yeah, she's really fun to play. If she ever gets a rerun, guys, you should go for her. She's really fun. And now, to the character who I think is actually the most broken character in the entire game. You know, it's actually crazy to think that people thought that she was bad when she first came out, but no, I really thought that basically infinite energy is really good. And the main reason why I went for her is because she is Eula's best support, in my opinion. But even as the DPS or sub DPS or support, I don't know, you can get like a ton of energy depending on how you build her. Yeah, let's look at her stats if you'd like. I have no electro damage bonus because I mainly want to focus on energy regeneration, and then I like using her as a sub DPS. It just feels a lot more comfortable. C0, and her burst is crowned. I really don't feel the need to go for C2 because I don't really play as a main DPS. Kamisato Ayato. Most well invested as well. Actually, no, not really, because I just threw on gladiators, like all the pieces that I had lying around, and they just so happen to be really good. I've still yet to get a very good Hydro Goblet for him. The best one I have is on Xingqiu, but that's to balance out the stat. This one in particular. Now, I do have Mist Splitter on him, which I still think is somewhat better than Haran, mainly because of how much elemental damage bonus he gets. And I do have Gladiator, so I think Mist Splitter is better in this situation. And it gives a ton of crit rate, or not crit rate, crit damage, and a very high base attack, which I will occasionally switch on to Bennett. He's at Z0, and I crown his skill, because that's the best thing you should go for. Now, Yoimiya, best girl, her rerun is around the corner. I'm still trying to perfect her artifact set and maybe try to go for Thundering Pulse, because if I get Thundering Pulse, she'll have over like 200 crit damage. Energy Recharge, you don't really need that much, even if you are running Shimenawas. I'm using R4 Rush. I just recently got the 4th refinement on the standard banner. Mainly, I recommend going over Shimenawas because it's more consistent over the new Echo set, because that set is just so much RNG that it just feels so inconsistent. Even though the average is, I'm pretty sure it's higher than Shimenawa's, it sure doesn't feel like it. Getting a crit and the Vaporize and the bonus normal attack damage all to line up consistently is just not going to happen, because it's just so random that it's not worth it. I'm not really planning to pull her for her rerun because Kazuha is around. But yeah, if you guys really like her, I'd say go for her. I stand by my statement saying that her damage is comparable to Hu Tao, even without Vaporize. Now, surprise, surprise, for the people that aren't new, or the people that are new to this account, I used to be a Razor main before I got Eula, and this is like back in the early phases of Genshin, so this is why he's leveled up very high. Now he's just holding a bunch of stuff. If I had to choose, I'd also run Pale Flame on him. So I'd occasionally swap to Pale Flame if I felt like using him. He's at C6. He was my first ever C6 character, and I was so close to crowning his normal attacks, but when I got Eula, man, it just kind of fell off. I'll still think he's still good. He's still usable. You can clear Abyss with him, I promise. Even though it might not be as fast, you can still do it. Jean. I just kind of recently got around to building her. I never lost a 50-50 to her, surprisingly. I mainly use her for like a Shao support whenever I want to use Sucrose on another team. These are her stats. They're really not too impressive. I just threw on whatever's best for her, or like whatever I had lying around. I could ascend this weapon even more for extra healing, but I don't think you really need it too much. I'm not really too worried about her damage as well. Yeah, Viridescent has really not been the best to me. And Gladiator as well. Only at C0, because I've yet to lose a 50-50 to her. I got her on standard, and these are her talent levels. Probably one of the most controversial characters in the game. Miko, who I think actually has very good stats. I'm pretty sure her stats are better than Ayato, yeah. But that's mainly because Widsith is just such a good weapon and stat stick. Honestly, even though her energy cost is like 90, I don't really think that you need to run Raiden or energy recharge on her that much, because her totems or her skill is her main focus of her damage. I'm using the two-piece attack set that you get from the new Chasm domain, because there's not really a four-piece bonus that is really best in slot for her, other than like maybe Emblem if you want to run her as like a nuke for electro damage if you'd like. But having to run like attack, EM on energy recharge and energy recharge on Miko just feels like kind of a like forced split scaling, so I don't really feel like you doing that as much, and I feel like the payout just does not feel as good. C0 and 688. Yeah, I really do like using Miko. I still think she's good, not as bad as people think she is. Now, Diluc. I actually really like using Diluc, believe it or not. No, it's not because I have C2. I just really like Claymores in general. I don't know why, just like a lot of the fast-hitting Claymores I really like. If you're wondering if I'm actually gonna go for the Diluc skin, I'm actually really thinking about it. That's if I win the 50-50 for Kazuha. I am using Serpent Spine. Depending on like my stats, I could switch to Archaic, but since my crit rate is not really too amazing, even with Serpent Spine, which actually no, I still think it's good. It just could be better with or it could be way better without Serpent Spine. And the reason why I don't really use him as much as I would like to is because, well, my Crimson set is kind of scuffed. Other than maybe the Feather, but yeah, I guess the Circlet is okay. Just, I need more crit rate to switch to Archaic if I wanted to. Yeah, C2. If I lose 50-50, I would be fine with it being Diluc, because C3 would be really nice. Talents, there we go. I could level him up more if I wanted to. Yeah, just farm more, I guess. Rosaria. I just recently leveled her up and built her. Energy recharges surprisingly high. What is she using? Oh, Star Glitter, that's why. I mainly use her on Deathmatch for the extra crit rate, but now that I've started to, now that I've learned that you don't really need that much crit rate, because I mainly use her with Eula. I don't have C6, I only have C3. Now that I learned that you don't really need to use her, or you don't really need to build so much crit rate on her, because her max is like 15, and the higher you go, it just feels like less valuable for me. So I just like run her at 60 crit rate. And it could be higher, but with Cryo Resonance, Eula and Rosaria can crit perfectly fine, hopefully. Star Glitter, I could switch to the catch, but I want to keep that on Raiden. And I could switch to Deathmatch as well, maybe Favonius if I really wanted to. But that would mean that I have to level up another one. And I've yet to even fully level up this one. I would like to run her on a full emblem set, but that would mean I have to farm as much crit rate on that set as I possibly can, and I don't really have the resin to do that. And now, we're getting into like the 4-star, like semi-built territory. He also shares Serpent Spine. I really like using him actually. He's a very nice sub DPS. He's just, honestly think his utility is actually a lot better than what people give him credit for. I would like to go for C6, but I want to say for Kazuha, and since he is on the banner right now, it's so tempting. I've run 2-piece attack bonus sets on him, and talents if you want to take a look. Alright, now my favorite 4-star character, my first main on this account ever. Don't worry about her stats all too much, because if I gave her, like, let's say Serpent Spine, yeah, it's much better. I think she's really fun to play. I think her counter mechanic is really, really fun. It's just, it sucks that the best way to play her is like a sub DPS off field. But I started shifting away from using her again, because I just like using Rosaria and Diona and Raiden with Eula instead. But yeah, I really like using her. C4, don't really have C6 of her yet. Xingqiu and Shangling are in the same boat. I just took off Beto's artifact. Xingqiu is really not that built. Sacrificial Sword, of course. I kind of got lucky and got R4. Yeah, these are her stats. She's a really good character. C6 as well, and I don't know why I leveled up her normal attacks. Fischl's not really built, kind of like in the same boat as Miko, where I just like running 2-piece sets on her. I could use Alley Hunter for her, but I don't really use Fischl too much. But when I do get her C6, their new skin, I am gonna consider building her, because she does seem pretty fun. And Diona, Sacrificial Bow, I don't really use too much. Just put her on 4-piece Noblesse, C6, and build her as much HP as I possibly can. Looking at what all my weapons are, I really don't have that many level 90 weapons. I just like get them up as high as I possibly can, or as much as I want to. I surprisingly don't even have that many 5-star weapons, because I don't really wish on standard or the weapon banner all too much. And surprisingly enough, the weapon banners that I have wished on, I actually got really lucky on, which is a really big surprise. Because, well, not lucky enough to the point where I got them early, but lucky enough to the point where I got both of the weapons I really like. I didn't really want Mistsplitter all too much, because I thought Black Sword was perfectly fine on Ayato, but Mistsplitter, I don't regret getting it, because it's really, really good. Lost Prayer, I have her too on, and Amos Bow I don't really use, because I already have Rust and Yoimiya, and I don't really feel a need to go for Ganyu. And yeah, these are the weapons I have. I have pretty much all the event weapons, other than Dinapur Spindle and Windbloom Ode, I think. What else do I want to show? Oh, maybe I could... This is the first time I'm actually gonna look at this, but my Abyss progress. So I've been able to consistently and surprisingly 36-star the Abyss ever since I first got Xiao. And yeah, ever since then, he's just been such a carry for this account. Where can I look at? Oh, challenge summary. Is that it? Yeah, this shows you like how much I use these characters. Wow, this is actually a lot more detailed than I thought. Yeah, coming from here, yeah, past this point, I have not 36 Star the Abyss back in December of 2021. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I will be live later today, assuming that this video comes up on my birthday. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Have a good night and day wherever you're at. Sub and like if you haven't, because we're on the road to 1300. And yeah, if we get 1500 by the end of the month, I might do something special again. But yeah, everyone, take care. Have a good night. I'll see you all next time. Peace out and take care.